then she wants to send me to all these different specialists and like outsource this. And I told her, oh, I got this issue. She goes, oh, we need to get you out to this specialist. I said, I'm not doing that. Like, I just went like 2 years ago for a stress test on my heart. They're like, oh, no, you're great. Good to go. But she's like, oh, you got to go back to see the cardiologist. For what?
It's been, 12 months?
Year and a half probably. Yeah.
But everything else is checking out normal.
Yeah.
Ish.
So my blood my blood pressure's high again, but she put me on another med. So like now I'm on. She tells me the other day, you're likely going to need 3 different meds. Like, why? Like, we went from, honestly, I told her, I was like, I don't want any meds. Let's do this the other ways. Diet, exercise, whatever. That wasn't working. So I was like, okay. No, not necessarily. Every time I go to her office, she's like, hey, you should take this pill. Hey, you should take that. Come on now.
I mean, it's actually a good subject. I mean, because I'll be open about things.
Sure.
You'd be open as much as you want about whatever you're on. But, last year in January, so 2021 January, I did blood work, getting ready for, the competitions coming this year to see where everything was at, right? 36 at the time. And, I had done blood work in the past, 2 years previous, where they took the full panel and everything. Everything was decent, maybe a little elevated in my blood pressure, but at that point it was in the 130s. So for a guy that's oversized, that's actually kind of a normal blood pressure for someone that might be on a little bit of testosterone, and you're lifting and you're somewhat what you call healthy in bodybuilding world or the strength world. I was still in a normal enough range for blood pressure, because your normal's the 120/80. They're shooting right around that. Now new numbers are saying maybe 130/80. And for a lifter, kind of in a non-diagnosed medical, just the kind of what we go by is if it's under 140 for a guy that's 5'6" and 270 pounds with probably around 12% body fat.
I'm doing all right.
That's a good number to be at. So that was 2 years previous to that, so it was like 2020, right, or 19. So I went and got my blood work done, and my blood pressure was sky high. It was 185, and it could have been a little white coat syndrome, they call it, when you get into the office. I just subconsciously, you get a little bit tense, and I made sure not to drink any coffee or have any of that. But I'm going to the doctor, and I'm not a huge fan of the medical industry in general. Her office is great and everything, and I'm to the outside person, I don't look stressed out.
Right.
But clearly, you get the pit sweats or whatever. Right. So something was on. Melissa being a nurse and all, was like, yeah, you probably just had a white coat syndrome. So we went down 2 weeks later, same reading, pretty high. And then I check it religiously now. So this was a year and a half ago almost now. And I've been very religious about checking the blood pressure once we get it, to where it needs to be every couple of weeks. Every week, and but I had to get on blood pressure medications if I'm gonna compete in this sport. Being 100 pounds over body weight, fat or muscle doesn't matter. It ended up being mostly muscle at this point in time, but still, fat or muscle doesn't matter. My human body, my size wasn't made to be that heavy. So if you take away the steroids, you take away training, you take away intense cardio, you take away all of that. A guy that's heavy, 100 pounds overweight, muscle or fat, it doesn't matter. You're going to have high elevated blood pressure. All those other, high intense cardio, training intensely, eating, probably what's an average of 3 times what a normal person eats in a day. But in a healthy food, doesn't matter. Systems being taxed. Was your body really intended to consume that many calories consistently? Off season, I'm at a religious 5,800 to 6,600 depending on training and off training days, all the time. It's a lot of time. That's a lot of food for a guy my height. Now, if you're talking about a 6'7" strong man, well, 6,000 calories a diet. I mean, they're cutting.
Yeah.
But they're also bigger, but their hearts really aren't that much bigger. You know, there's certain
Right.
things in them that aren't that much bigger. They just got a bigger body to start with, so they're already going to be at a little bit higher risk probably for certain things, certain abnormalities. But so anyway, mine came down to where we had to get on blood pressure meds, and as a bodybuilder, if I had a little bit of guidance younger, you know, I think there's a lot of information out there now, especially in the past year or two. Currently, there's a lot of focus been put on that realm of the world for bodybuilding and
right,
strongman.
like being a little bit healthier and more in tune with what's on the inside.
Yeah, blood work and all that. Instead of just being like, well, I feel good and I look pretty dang good. You know, that should be good enough. Well, I feel a lot better now that my blood pressure's not 185.
Yeah.
Now, the funny thing is I was always 185 over 80 or 77. So it was just the top number that I had to keep messing with. And it took about it's probably like 6 weeks with different meds working. And then now I'm on a combo of 3 of them.
Right.
I take 3. You know, I take amlodipine, a little HCTZ, so the hydrochlorothiazide, just take a little of the water weight off. And then the newer blood pressure medication is almost starting.
Okay.
So there's some that are calcium blockers. There's some that just take water off the body because just too much fluid, you know, creates more blood pressure.
Yeah.
Anyway, that works for me now. I can kind of come off of it as I drop body weight. So when I'm in a little bit closer to a show time and the body weight comes down and you're not consuming 6,000 calories a day, I start checking my blood pressure because I might need to back off of them.
Yeah.
But as soon as I'm over 250, 260, I just got to get on it because it's too heavy for my frame. And I never got that heavy until about 4 years ago. You know what I mean? So I never really had the problem earlier on. I do remember always getting really, really. I never had too many bloody noses, but my face turning purple when I swallow, and it still does that even with good blood pressure.
Yeah.
Because under that exact moment, I probably have really high blood pressure when you're trying to get out underneath the 600-pound squat or whatever you're doing at the time, right? But then we went and had all the tests done. I'm like, okay, I'm getting closer to 40. Let's just get all the tests. We had the echo of the heart. The cardiologist said, looks like a lifter's heart, but there's no enlargement of the left ventricle. The heart is relatively normal in size. It's not. He was not concerned at all. He just said, looks like you've probably done some lifting in your life, is what he said. So got blessed and lucky there. I didn't let it go too long. You know? Because it was only 2 years previous to that it was only in the 130s, low 130s, which is not bad, you know.
Yeah.
Then I had my kidneys checked out and, you know, had the liver checked out because just ended up being I was very toxic and had to do detox. And not that acne is ever a sign that, oh, you have, you know, your liver's clogged up. It is one of the side effects of it, but it doesn't mean it directly. But now that I have my blood work, all of my liver tests are right in the middle of everything, I don't have any acne. So I was clearly doing incorrect things with the diet or supplementation throughout and now I'm just really regimented with everything. I take the same things every day, nutrition-wise, you know, and drink enough water, bring the blood pressure down so it's not too high of pressure to perfuse the kidney and liver, right? So you don't have those issues later on. And then this year, a year later, after I did the shows last year, took my big break, took my blood work again, and better numbers than I've ever had for 10 years.
Nice.
So in doing it correctly and probably consistently doing 6 days a week cardio at 30 minutes a day. Now, as lifters, that was always like, cardio? No, you can't grow muscle on cardio.
Well, yeah, absolutely, right?
Not at all the truth. I'm a better lifter now that I do cardio.
I actually think it's probably got some benefit to it.
Oh, it's got quite a bit of benefits.
Right? So,
I'm not walking around the household catching my breath anymore. When I do cardio, and I hate to admit this, but I kind of enjoy it.
I don't think I'll ever say that.
I don't. When I started last year, I was like, why?
Yeah.
You know?
It's a means to an end to me.
Yeah. You know, I do some creative things. I'll go out and work in the house.
Yeah.
Move some gravel. And I'm not just talking like, right now, I'm like hit style cardio and 300 pounds of gravel into a wheelbarrow in 30 seconds and then humping it across the,
Right.
and I go at it for hardcore. I'll add another 20 minutes to my session just in case, right?
Yeah.
I feel great, and I think at the end of the day, isn't that what we all want? We want to look X, but we also want to feel good.
Absolutely.
And not have this subconscious worry that something's going to break and we don't have everything lined up for our families or whatever it is, right? But yeah, I think blood pressure medications are super key in tandem with, if you're already doing the things that you should be doing anyway, eating good diet, not having, and I'm saying this because I do it, 12,000 calorie cheat meals that last 6 hours. Your body really wasn't made to do that type or process that type of food.
No.
Does that give you high blood pressure?
Food too,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, and usually a cheat meal is going to be like everything you're not supposed to eat.
It's not the clean salads and the, right?
Yeah, you might have a vegetable that's snuck into your steak meal somehow, but you're usually plucking those out
Took
and
care
eating
of
all.
your potatoes and vegetables, so we're fine.
Can macaroni and cheese be a vegetable? Because I really like that with steak.
I mean, at the root of it all, it has to be, right?
It came from plants. It came from plants.
Yeah.
It was green at one point. But yeah, just blood pressure medication. And some of us, and I am genetically predisposed to having higher blood pressure on both sides of my family. So it's one of those things that I know that I have to be aware of, and that's probably what prompted me to get in there initially too. And just to be religious about the blood work. I mean, you don't want to just... I don't... So, when I first started, I think a lot of us are like this. We get in and we're like, whatever it takes. If it gets me there in 5 years, I'm all in. But then you get 4 years down the road, you're like,
Oh, shit, maybe not everything.
I didn't even quite make it there yet, maybe. Or maybe you did, but now I got 1 year.
Yeah.
And what after that? Now I need to actually make some money from this and enjoy the time that I spent. So, just be conscious of it. But blood pressure meds, after you're doing the cardio, eating clean, lifting properly, right, and doing all that, if you still have high blood pressure, absolutely get blood pressure medications because it's doing more damage to kidneys and liver because essentially when you have higher blood pressure, you have more pressure trying to perfuse and clean the filters, which are your liver and kidney. Now, if your filters are only this big, but you're trying to shove this through there, will this eventually get through there? With enough pressure, it will.
Sure.
And so with your high blood pressure for long enough, now you got this shit stuck in your kidneys and your liver. And once you get to a certain point on your kidneys, they don't come back.
Yeah. And that's kind of...
liver as well, but you have a little bit more play on the liver from my understanding. Kidneys, once they get to that spot, it's like you can stop it, but you can't ever get it back.
Isn't liver the only one that regenerates? Isn't that right? It's our only organ that actually...
And most of us have two
himself.
kidneys, right?
Yeah.
Turns out I'm kind of an anomaly, dude. Mine's one kidney. It's in a horseshoe shape. So it's mostly on my right side of the body, and it wraps around, so I don't have it right here.
Okay.
She was like, look, and she's like, where is it? So I forget what they call it. It's a horseshoe shape, but they call it something, and it's like 10% of the populace might have them. Doesn't affect you at all. It's literally two kidneys. They're just fused together in the middle.
Cool.
So that was kind of cool. But so I got something.
Not if you got to donate it.
Yeah, then you're kind of fucked. You don't have a kidneys. I got one kidney, I ain't sharing it.
Yeah.
It's this big, but I'm not sharing it.
That's how I feel about all of my organs. I came in with them, I'm going out with them.
But yeah, so that was what really helped me clean up the liver and clean up that part was really just staying, because as a bodybuilder, maybe not so much a strongman, but as a bodybuilder, we're very, very regimented clean. And then off season comes and we're old school way of thought. You just put on a ton of weight and you're eating probably not the best food. So if you just keep the foods kind of clean.
KFC.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of guys that used to do that. I think nowadays, I got to bring the social media thing up. People try to stay in shape a little bit more. I don't care. I don't mind showing that I get a little thick in the off season. I'm going to enjoy a couple of meals, but I'm going to still eat regimentedly clean. I'm just going to eat more of it, and that's what most of the weight's going to come from. So blood pressure medications, in my opinion, I stress heavily, especially because I'm predisposed to it. But also, if you're just a lifter for fun, and you're a little bit overweight, just bring that weight down. You're probably going to fix that. Add a little cardio. That'll help bring the weight down. Eat a little bit cleaner. You can still be strong 30 pounds lighter.
Yeah.
There's always that concept, weight moves weight. That's true to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But if it's just fat, is it really moving any more weight?
Well, it's probably doing more damage than benefit in an event, right? No, and I think that, like you said, strongmen, there's a change in kind of how they do their off seasons and everything. For the most part, I would say that the majority of them are staying clean year round and trying to stay healthy year round, right?
Especially the last 10 years, right?
Yeah. So mine, like you were talking on, there's damages that happen to your body if you let it go. Well, apparently I did that, right? So,
well, you're already a bigger dude anyway. You've always been. You've been never under 270 for how many years now?
Oh yeah, it's
10 maybe.
Yeah, well, close. Yeah, probably close to 10. There's a couple times I dropped to 260.
So not very far off, right? So,
but for
how tall are you?
5'9". So someone who should be 180, 190.
So you're still pushing 100 pounds.
Yeah.
But now, for me, it was only a couple years. For you, you were doing it for almost 10 years. Right?
Yeah. So let the blood pressure go a little bit too long, and there was a few times we checked it, and I was 205 over.
Very critical, because they say what
over 110, 120.
Wow.
And it carries. You got to get to a hospital. I'm like, I can't, and unfortunately at this time it was the highest it had ever been. I remember I was in Denver actually, and I was on a work trip, and I called her, and we were trying to get my blood pressure in check. So I took it. We landed, worked for a little bit, very low stress day. Get back to the hotel, relaxing, getting ready to go to dinner with the work crew, and I checked it then after I took a little nap. And that's when it was. And she goes, "Now you're about to have a stroke." And even my doctor now, she asked me, "Have you never had a stroke?" And I was like, "How do I know I haven't? I don't know."
Right.
Maybe it just wasn't severe, because strokes do come in different levels of intensity, I guess, right? So now, so I just went and saw her on Monday.
The doc?
Yeah, would have been Tuesday. Yeah, we're filming this on a Tuesday. This is different. So I went and saw my doc on Monday, yesterday, and I was 182 over 95.
That's still pretty high. And you're
so it was 9 a.m.
Did you do cardio? Did you have a cup of coffee?
I did cardio. Low intensity on the treadmill.
Cup of coffee?
Nope.
No caffeine? No
caffeine, no stimulants.
Now, are you on blood pressure meds right now?
Yeah, so right now, I started on one maybe 12 weeks ago. And it reminds me of the one that you said that you took, the statin one. I think one's like a rovastatin. Maybe that makes sense.
That's not one of the ones I'm on, but there's quite
a
couple out there.
You're on
there's almost starting.
Almost starting. So I think it's one of those ones.
It's probably that one. It's the newer one.
So I'm on 80 milligrams of that every morning.
Okay, it's not almost starting. It
No.
don't take that much. It's only 40.
Okay. And so, yeah, unfortunately,
it didn't work.
They just lay them out. Carrie lays out my pills and says, these are the stack you take here, these are the stacks you take there.
If I let Melissa do that, I'd probably die. I'd probably be dead already.
Right? I should probably know what I'm taking. I was on that for about 12 weeks, and that was supposed to bring me down. And there was some times where I would check it, and I was in the 140s,
right,
and
acceptable for your size.
Oh, absolutely.
From where you're coming from and what you were doing.
Well, that's a win, especially coming down from a high of 205 or whatever,
Because
140 would be incredible to walk.
What do they call critical in an average day is 165.
Yeah, so
over 165.
I have, I don't know, hypertension, some, some bad form of hypertension, she tells me. So my doctor.
Did you have a bad argument on the way to the doctor that morning?
Oh, so that's the thing. My check-in at the doctor was not smooth at all.
Okay.
So
probably added 20 right there.
And I told her, and this is probably 30 minutes after my check-in, and I told her, she tells me it's high, and I go, well, I'm not surprised. Are you? You get me all riled up.
So you have a little white coat syndrome, a little impatience from waiting,
and then we took it again before I left. After I talked to the doc and settled down and everything like that. And I think I was at 175 over 90. So it dropped a little bit. I had taken my blood pressure med, and I know it takes a little bit. So I had taken my blood pressure med probably, I don't know, 40 minutes or so before I took it the first time. So it had another, 45 minutes or whatever to kick in.
I think most people, and I didn't realize this when I was first starting, like an hour later, it doesn't do shit to you.
No.
You got to let it load for a day or two.
So, and I didn't realize that it only helps if I take it. Here's my ignorance on it. Okay. I thought that you took the pill and it fixed your issue.
One time?
Well, no. I know you have to take it every day to maintain it, but I thought that the issue got fixed. It doesn't. It just, and I hate to say it this way, it band-aids it.
Kind of masks it.
For that set time.
For that.
Until you take your next dose.
Right.
And then we'll band-aid it a little more. So you try to take it at the same time every day and,
Yeah, and if you take it at the same time every day, 22 hours in, your blood pressure is probably going to be a little bit higher.
Yeah. And, when I first jumped on them, I did notice I was less irritable. I was not as...
I had the same thing. Felt a little more calm.
Yeah, I was more comfortable through the day, right? I wasn't so, on edge.
I think that's where they came up with that hypertension word.
Yeah, right? There was a lot of tension. So maybe 4 weeks ago, she got me the amlodipine. So I started taking that one. That was supposed to help
In addition?
In addition. So then that one was supposed to help that bottom number, I guess, because that one wasn't coming down. Didn't touch it. But I did have a negative side effect of it, I guess. So now I have more edema than I used to have. So, and
probably why I have 25 milligrams HCTZ.
Yeah. So, and I was going to talk about that one next. So now that I have this edema issue again, because before I got on the blood pressure meds the first time, that was one of the issues. I had really bad swelling in my lower legs, and to where it was uncomfortable.
Just not enough. It's too much pressure to get the blood back to the heart fast enough, right?
Exactly. So, so now, when I talked to her yesterday, now she wants to put me on a beta blocker. And I don't understand what the beta blocker does, and I'm not
an expert in it.
Yeah, and I don't know how they're supposed to affect the blood pressure. But all she tells me is, well, you're going to take it at night, and just be careful because it's known to drop your pulse. It slows your heart down. I'm like, okay, so we're worried I'm going to have a stroke or maybe die in my sleep someday, but you're going to bring my heart rate down to a level. Yeah, to a level that I have to be concerned about. She's like, if you feel lightheaded, I'm asleep. I don't know if I'm lightheaded. So
I get lightheaded standing up. What do you want to
So a little hesitant to jump on that one, but I've always avoided the HTZ one that you're talking about.
Hydrochlorothiazide. It's just HCTZ. It's just a.
It's a diuretic, right?
Potassium saving water cutter.
Yeah.
Diuretic.
So I know you don't have this issue, but I have the issue of getting in enough water, right? Regardless of just being a normal person in the desert.
Now you're 300 pounds in the desert with
training and all that.
Needing more water
right?
Because of the situation.
So I hesitate to go on those diuretic based ones.
Because all that does is try to pull fluid away from the heart.
Right.
It's because there's too much there.
So like you were saying that you had the
but you have to drink enough water.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I hate to say it, but I'm maybe a half gallon in and we're, the end of my day now. So I just, I need to get better about that, obviously. But when I went and saw the doc for the cardiologist, they did the stress test, and the stress test came back great, which I was pretty surprised about. They put you in this little fishnet thing and hook you up to all these probes, and you got to walk on a treadmill. I don't know if they had you do that one.
I didn't do the stress test.
Yeah.
I did an echo of the heart.
Okay,
So they did an image of the heart to make sure it wasn't too enlarged. The ventricles were wrong.
So then when I did that one, I do have slightly enlarged heart, and I have
the left ventricle.
The left ventricle, yeah. They call it
50%.
They call it an athlete's heart. They say it's normal, nothing to really worry about at the level that I'm at, right? Just being heavy for so long, and training heavy and kind of having that.
I love it when they say those general terms, though,
Yeah.
because here I am sitting at 205 now, 185 blood pressure.
Yeah.
Got edema in my legs.
Yeah.
But my heart's good.
Yeah.
Well, something's off there, boys and girls.
Right.
So
someone's lying somewhere. But what the blood pressure did negatively affect, that we're kind of trying to reel back on now, is my kidneys.
Okay.
So
the blood pressure being high for so long, affected the kidneys.
Because like you were talking about, trying to...
It's a filter, and it was forced in too large of particles, so now it's kind of clogged up in a way.
Exactly.
I have to put it in layman's terms, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, taking your aerator on your sink and hooking a fire hose to it.
Yeah.
Something's given.
Yeah. You're blowing some seal somewhere.
Yeah, so that is the issue that we're trying to reel back now, and that's why getting the blood pressure down is so important. But so these blood pressure meds are important, but some of them
they also have side effects.
Yeah, they don't all work the same for everybody.
Absolutely
not. Your amlodipine is not giving you any issues, it seems, right? But
I'm also on HCTZ at the same time because maybe my doc had enough experience in knowing one adds and prevents.
So did you start those at the same time?
Eventually got to it.
Okay.
So I never took HCTZ until we added Olmesartan, amlodipine, HCTZ all at once. Before we just tried Olmesartan, didn't work.
Okay.
Just tried amlodipine, didn't work.
Oh, okay.
Tried another one, did not work.
Okay.
She's like, we're doing all three of these, worked.
So mine started me on the base, right? And again, sorry, I don't remember, but it's a sartan of some sort, I guess. Started there, that didn't work. 8 weeks later, try the amlodipine. Now that's not working, So do we take that out or do we add another one? And now she wants to try this beta blocker, and I think it's just going to come down to the point where I'm going to have to get on a diuretic based one, and have that one
add it
to it, and then just get better about the water.
And also long term. Okay, so if that brings your blood pressure, let's say under 140, it's acceptable for now, right? But how long does a guy want to stay that heavy? Because even though we've brought the blood pressure down, we've paused any further damage to the kidneys and when it comes to blood pressure relation. You still need to add more water in because that's going to help as well. But then how long do we want to live like that before we go, okay, the real reality here, we're just too big for our size.
Yeah.
Because I think, everyone wants to focus on the PEDs and the steroids and things like that. And those do play a part to an X degree.
Mind you, these numbers are on TRT levels.
Yes. No,
so my Monday level.
I'm just saying, if you took that out of the picture completely
absolutely.
even,
we
are still going to have high blood pressure.
Yep.
Because we are too big for our body.
Yeah.
So, and I think this is where for most bodybuilders at least, this is where we have kind of these time limits. Like, we can do it for X, and then after that, man, we're pushing that threshold to where we're like, are we going to die in the next 5 years?
Yeah.
Or would we like to live a little bit longer?
Yeah.
So...
you just don't know until you wake up dead,
Well, that's the best way to go. In your sleep.
So Carrie's got a theory about that. She says nobody dies peacefully in their sleep.
I would probably agree with that.
You think it looks peaceful when we walk in, but it wasn't peaceful when they went.
You probably were checking.
And I'm like, could you just let me have...
Can I just die peacefully? In my dreams, at least?
Can you not ruin this for me?
But I think to stress, and I really want to stress this, for any lifters... blood pressure is the number one thing you have to be concerned about.
Well, sure.
Because, for your example, it stays high for too long, you have other organs that will never come back.
Yep.
Let alone, what's the damage that's happening to the heart being that high all the time? That's like taking a 1.8 liter Civic motor and throwing it in my 1-ton truck and trying to pull 30 pounds of equipment.
Right?
I mean, you could probably make it happen,
Yeah.
but for how long? And what's blowing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, the blood, for the heart, that blood with that high blood pressure is thick. Especially since I've got high cholesterol too. And I think that's based off of,
diet,
you know,
predisposition.
and that's the unfortunate part, I think, is that I don't know my family's history.
Right.
Right. So, going back, I was adopted. So I have half the family that, like, I can find out about. But, like, I don't know the whole story on both sides, and I don't really know. So that's kind of starting from scratch again, right? So,
But it's really good for your kids
yeah.
and their kids,
Yeah.
as you move forward. Now, okay.
So now we've got a base.
Yeah,
right?
you're starting a family history.
Unfortunately,
For you.
the base is trashed.
Your kids are like, God, you left
cool,
me with this shit.
No, so it's unfortunate in that where I don't know if the cholesterol is predisposition for family history, or I could imagine it's probably the Oreos. I think if we broke it down, maybe it's the Oreos, maybe it's all the red meat. Maybe it's, who knows?
Some of the years that we drank a little bit too much.
Yeah,
I mean, everything affects everything.
Yeah, right. So slowly we're trying to change the diet a little bit to see, and then so Monday, so the last blood work I got was February 17th.
For like 12 weeks ago ish.
Right. So these bases came off of, so I have thyroid issues, right, and we don't know what caused that. That one very well could be family related.
Hereditary.
I got some big people. I do know I got some big people.
You come from big people stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's likely hereditary, or I don't know, the 2020 nonsense. Mm-hmm. Viruses can affect different systems in your body. So maybe, who knows?
There's just not enough research done.
There's not.
Yeah.
There's not. So now I'm on a Thyroid Med.
Does that is one that will make you feel real good or real bad?
Yes.
How have you felt from that?
So I'm on 88 milligrams of a tyrosine.
And this is one that I have no knowledge about.
So and I honestly,
I have a little, but not with that drug.
I thought that the thyroid was weight control, and that's it. Apparently, the thyroid
does a little bit more
manages a ton of stuff in the body, right? A longer list than I know. So it was kind of weird. Once I started it, maybe the next day, and who knows how much of it was placebo.
There's a lot of that.
But I woke up and I was like, oh, wow, let's get up. Let's do the day. Let's go. I didn't take a nap that day, right? So Carrie and I, we call it pulling an all-dayer. If we can, we can go.
Most people can get through a full day. These guys nap every day.
If I can have my nap, we're good to go. 20 minutes to 2 hours.
You started that about 25 years old.
Yep.
Naps.
Yep. Absolutely. It was actually on so
right when you hit about 100 pounds over normal body
exactly.
weight. That's when
That's
I started.
weird how that happens.
Yeah, I wonder. It's like you're taxing your body a little bit more.
And I always just thought, I'm not going to bed early enough and that kind of stuff. But apparently, it was something going on the inside, right? Yeah. So if you're always lethargic, right? So and that's why I got on the CPAP, which that was another thing. When I got on the CPAP, it actually brought my blood pressure down as well.
Mine as well, and I meant to touch on that, and I didn't.
Yeah,
I agree 100%.
Yeah, but for some reason it didn't stay. So your body just gets accustomed to that CPAP level, and then I crept back up, right?
Blood pressure-wise for you?
Blood pressure.
I never checked my blood pressure in terms of using the CPAP.
Okay.
I checked it just every morning for X.
Yeah.
When I was on with the CPAP or without.
Yeah.
When I got down last season to... Did I cut you off?
No, you're good.
Okay. Because I totally forgot. When I got down to the 220s for my show, didn't feel like I needed the CPAP. Yeah. Well, last night I went to bed, laying in bed. I'm like tossing and turning. I'm like, what in the heck's going on here? Look at the clock. It's been 45 minutes. I just can't fall asleep.
Nope.
Didn't press start on the dadgum CPAP. I had warmed it up, put it on, didn't press start. That's how much that thing works for me.
Yeah.
I literally cannot sleep without it.
It puts me to sleep. Once I put it on, like as soon as I put it on, I know I'm good. No more than 6 minutes later, I'm out.
Because I've had this thing for this is a new one, but
Yeah.
I've had them for 3 years. I came off it for like that 3 or 4 months until I started getting heavier after the show. Once I got over 250, 260, started sleeping like shit again.
Yep.
And so we actually went and bought a brand new one,
Yeah.
and it's quite the machine, way better.
Big shout out to Resi Med.
There you go. Send us the plug. We need a couple other masks.
Right.
But, I mean, do you also want to have to wear a CPAP your whole life? I mean, these are all these, to me as a bodybuilder, to you as a lifter, if we don't have it, it's life or death in a way.
Yeah.
Like, I carry that thing on the plane. I carry it everywhere where I go because I don't sleep. So what are you doing to your body for the 8 years before you used it, when you were 100 pounds overweight and you were struggling to sleep because you're just too big?
And I got diagnosed with severe obstructive sleep apnea when I was 22.
So you've been on it a lot longer.
No, I didn't get it then.
Oh.
I didn't get it until I was probably 30.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's you and I got about around the same time. Never even knew about it until I started listening to Stan Efferding.
Oh, yeah.
4 or 5 years ago, and his basic, and he researches the shit out of his stuff, and backs it up. But he says a guy around 225 pounds or heavier probably has a sort of sleep apnea in one way or the other. And it was funny because when I dropped back down to the 225, I was good. But as soon as I went a little bit over that body weight, started sleeping like shit. But what I did notice, though, is the lethargy you're feeling and all of that, which happened to be thyroid for you, a lot of that went away with the CPAP for me because I just wasn't oxygenating.
So in the beginning it did as well.
Yeah.
So I'd wake up, and
feel great.
And, in the beginning, I was probably a little bit more obnoxious in the morning than I should have been, but I slept great and I felt good waking up, and that hadn't happened in, 30 years at that point, so she would joke and she'd be like, "You're not sleeping with your mask tonight. I can't handle this."
I said one time a day.
Yeah. So no, the CPAP absolutely worked, and it did change that lethargy, and my blood pressure came down, and my gut felt better. Right, like you're sleeping, you're actually processing.
That's when you repair your intestines, and back to Stan Efferding, that's where I've learned all this. 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. every hour before midnight. He calls it 2 hours in the bank because that's when your gut repairs the most.
Okay.
I go to bed 12:30 to 1 religiously.
Yeah.
And I'm up at 6:30. So I'm trying to back that down at 11:30 because I wake up at 6:20 every morning without the alarm on.
Right.
Melissa being a graveyard worker, I mean, my schedule for 5 years has been way off. I'm on the best schedule I've been on, which is like I'm getting 7 hours before I get out of bed, usually. So last year was a little under 5 on average. So already doing that much better. I feel so much better. Your body's not stressed. The mind's not stressed. When you go train, you don't feel broken every single training. So that CPAP, sleeping with it, your intestine health, oxygenating things that we never would oxygenate if
muscles
we didn't have
don't hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
As much.
Well, you can still get sore, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, no,
it's literally life changing.
Even if I dropped 150 pounds right now, I think I'd still sleep with it.
I'll tell you this much: if I get down to my competition weight again, which will be in the 230s this time, I'm still not taking it off.
Right? Because of how good you feel now. Do it, So talking
that's still too heavy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So then talking on the CPAP with these other issues that we have, and I think it's just more like the whole purpose of this is like, hey, look, like there's issues that come along with these things, right? And like there's ways to fix them and band-aid them until you can get your own,
There's natural ways to do it. There's ways that you can supplement it.
Well, and
then there's hereditary shit that you just need to supplement.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's blood pressure.
Yeah.
I bet you if I drop my body weight to under 210,
oh yeah,
I probably won't need them.
Yeah.
But then what changes there? The type of lifting, the amount of cardio, the type of cardio, the weight on the body, how much food you're eating every day. So all those things are a factor. But go ahead, sorry.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, so now they're trying to do an oxygen test because now I might need oxygen assistance.
Added to it.
Added to the CPAP, so it's never ending. And when I got the CPAP, I was 275. Now I'm 300, 305. So maybe that 30 pounds makes a little difference,
I'm
So,
absolutely sure it does.
So we're going to do a pulse ox test, while I'm sleeping and whatnot. And I got to do this.
Tonight, you just throw it on?
No, so not tonight. I got to go down and pick up this cool thing that, makes it real comfortable to sleep in.
That is one thing that I did notice. Like, when I would sleep without the CPAP, I'd be running like a 92, which is livable.
So you check that regularly as well?
I did when I started. I don't now.
Okay.
But now, throughout the day or night, even if I do miss a night, I'm oxygenated at the 98 percentile
Nice.
now. Critical is like 88 or under.
Is it? Okay.
It's getting kind of critical. So I was waking up in the morning at a 90 to 92. You just feel like shit, dude. You're not breathing. I mean, essentially, you're just not breathing. You're getting choked every night.
Right.
Yeah,
and you feel it, especially, there's been sometimes, and I think I've told you this when we spoke on it a couple of times, if my allergies are real bad, I can't use the mask.
Dude,
and
I had the allergies.
Miserable.
They were the worst this year I've ever had. Have you?
Oh, yeah, no, they've been terrible.
I'm still doing,
Yeah.
They're like days at a time where I'm like, what in the fuck?
Yeah.
But
I have
for
come
the
down on my
CPAP,
nose spray, though.
You've backed off.
I've backed off like maybe once a day right now.
See, I don't use it much
Yeah.
until this allergy season. I'm like, if I don't do this, I can't breathe. I'm going to be mouth breathing. That doesn't work in the CPAP.
Right? Yeah, no.
And,
because I like the nose pillow because
I can't do a full mouth. I put just the nose on and the mouth stays shut.
Yep.
Yeah. I haven't tried it since. The nose just works great. Like, as soon as I put it on, I was able to sleep. The other ones, I would be like 2 hours, and then I would wake up sweating and hot, feeling like someone's choking me.
Well, and there's two benefits to it, right? And there's studies that have been shown that breathing through your nose boosts testosterone levels. So okay, let's try to do that one right there. And then also with the full face one, you're getting a lot of air in your gut.
Are you?
So yeah, so you're gonna get a lot more air in the gut. So you're not digesting as well. You're gassier throughout the day. So which is just uncomfortable.
Makes sense. And
right? So
you're already a big dude. You don't need any extra room. You don't have room to spare down there.
Yeah, no, we're at capacity on the stretch right now.
Before, we somehow get the meal in. But.
Went to Churrasco de Brazil on Saturday night. It's a good
First
thing I
time
had
there?
to just. No, that was the second time.
Yeah.
The first time we didn't do it the right way though.
Oh.
I went up and I got the buffet first, or the salad buffet.
Yeah. Good shit up there. But
I did put a salad on there.
Yeah.
But they like the little meat, sliced meats and stuff like that, the cold cuts
and all this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I filled up on that.
Oh.
And then they came with all the meat, and I didn't do it right. So this time, I did all the meats first. And
Did you try all of them?
Yeah, for the most part.
It's about 9 or so.
Yeah, I think
they
that's
got
about
different cuts of lamb, different types of pork, different types of
They got chicken, pork, beef, lamb. Is that it?
Yeah, but they got different cuts of the beef and the pork and the lamb.
I think the best one is that picana.
Which is?
That's their house specialty. I don't really know what the cut is, but it is wonderful.
I grew up eating lamb with my my dad's side of the family. My grandma would cook it, and you got to cook it right.
Yeah,
but I love it when it's cooked right.
So, on a lamb shepherd's pie,
best in the world.
Oh man,
I think you say shepherd's pie to Melissa. She don't care what's in it. She'll eat it.
Yeah, but yeah, so
do a little cheat meal there.
Yeah, if that's a cheat meal, I don't know. Is that a cheat? It's great meat.
Yeah. Well, it's a cheat meal if you overate.
Oh, yeah, well.
If you ate more than 8 ounces of steak, then you overate.
Oh, yeah, it was definitely a cheat meal.
8 pounds. 8 pounds, yeah.
I don't think we ever turned that little card over.
Yeah, that button stayed open the whole time. I was just tapping it, waiting for him to walk by. Oh, the sausage. I forget about the sausage.
That is. That's pork sausage?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That one's good. So, yeah, maybe that's my cholesterol.
I wonder.
Yeah, because I did finish it off with, they got this chocolate
nice little
mousse.
chocolate mousse.
It was that
Oh.
chocolate mousse cake. God, that thing was
Oh
good.
my!
It should have fed both of us, but I had it myself. It's fine.
I remember eating 2 pieces of cheesecake after my last show.
Yeah.
I ordered one. Somehow I ate 2. It was Carrie's, wasn't it?
I think so,
She
yeah.
had like one bite. She's like,
Yeah.
I'm done. Like, I'll
Nope.
fucking force that in.
I think I had.
That was the coconut one too.
Oh, it was.
From what is it?
Cheesecake
Factory. Yeah.
Yeah, can't beat that place.
Dude, every
I'm
time
going there
it's like a show thing for like most people. I think after the show you go to Cheesecake Factory.
They have everything you're gonna crave, so why not go there?
There's way more than one type of food there.
Oh yeah,
So you can almost feed any type of people.
burgers,
Yeah.
pastas,
Yeah.
topping steaks. Yeah,
I'm sure there's probably some vegan stuff in there. I never looked, but they can have a salad.
probably.
Yeah, I don't know how you grow without eating meat, but
My food eats veggies. I don't.
yeah, that's the fiber issue we were running into earlier.
Oh.
But
But yeah, just speaking on these issues that come around.
you're not alone. I mean, there's
No.
so many of us out there that are doing this. Some of us are naive and not getting their blood work done.
And I was naive.
I was too. I mean, I was 36, or did I was 34. I think I did 32. I did blood work too, and those were good. But you got to do it consistently, because if you're growing, everything's changing.
Yep. And there's places in town, and I'm sure they're
All over. Yeah.
but where you could pay $100 and get a year's worth of blood tests. If you don't want to go through
full
your
panel.
insurance. Yeah.
Yeah, full panel.
And then you can add on whatever else you want to add on. If you want test levels on top of that, you can
Right.
pay a little fee or whatever. It's not a bad idea, especially
Especially a beginner lifter
Yeah.
that's thinking, I want to be that guy lifting those 400-pound stones. Maybe and he's conscious that it might take 5-10 years. Start with your base level before you even get into it. Get a baseline.
Yep.
I try to tell all of my guys that I coach, gals too, if it's their first in the gym, they're like, I want to do a show. Have you ever done a show? No. Okay. Get blood work. That's our baseline of your human right now. So how are we going to know a year and a half down the road, all of a sudden you got high cholesterol? Was it from that?
Yeah.
Was it from things that we're doing? You know what I mean? On the way there.
well, and again,
I was way old by the time I had a baseline.
yeah.
I mean, I was over 30.
Yep.
It's a little bit older school, and the shit's come around in the past 10, and I was out of it for a little while. So once I got back in it,
Yeah. I was definitely the type that I don't have an issue if I don't know about it.
I mean,
Right? And
I think that's a lot of us, though.
You put your head in the sand, and it's
I
just,
don't want to know.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
easier to not know.
Yeah.
And then when,
Then all of a sudden you start breaking shit and hurting things. You're like, man, something's off here,
yeah,
Or I'm not breathing, or why is my eyes, whatever, right?
Yep.
Things just going awry.
yep, yeah. So it's definitely, and like you said, that blood pressure. It's too easy to get your blood pressure checked. For one,
Way too easy.
you could either order a cuff offline, right? Get an Amazon to you. Don't they have them
For
in all the
35
stores
bucks.
now? Still,
I'm sure
you
they
can
do.
still go put your stupid arm in that thing.
Right.
I can't fit in those things anymore.
No,
so
give
it's-
When
Yeah,
Melissa
see
and I
my
do
wrist?
it, I do a forearm like right here. Well, that's not accurate.
right.
You can buy extra large cuffs
Yeah.
for dudes with arms that are bigger than 18, 19 inches.
Right.
Because the wrong size cuff will read differently too, incorrectly.
Well, and
If you put a regular cuff on me and then you put the extra large on me, 2 totally different
oh,
readings.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That pressure that's just in the cuff is going to be different.
And there is the difference between a cheap blood pressure monitor and a decent one.
Oh, yeah.
I get 2 different readings off of the manual ones
Sure.
that a nurse will take, and the ones this gives me is not accurate.
Right.
So you got to get the one that fits around the arm, someone's manual, You can get the good machines, though, and I just
Yeah.
had a cheap machine, so I should have spent the money. I mean, your difference of 35 to like 60. Come on.
Right. And if you do choose to go that 35 route, at least you have a base. So it's going to read low, right? The ones that
Or higher.
Yeah.
Mine reads higher on it by 20 points.
Really? So I always have the other issue. If I use like one of the wrist ones or one of like the cheaper ones, it reads lower than what I actually am.
Yeah, and then every point you are out in your body changes, so you need to understand that as well. But at least, it's, like you said, at least it's giving you a baseline. If you always checked here and it was 137, and you're going through years, something's changed,
right?
You know.
Yeah, so it gives you a baseline, and if it does read high, great, go see a doctor.
Right.
Right.
If you're concerned, you know, if it's anything over 130, and you're under 250 pounds,
yeah,
you know, 140. I would start thinking about it.
And
especially if you're 100% natural, you do cardio, you do eat healthy.
And it's that high, there's some issues there.
Yeah, go get it checked out, man, because I'll stress more. I mean, you're living proof. You know, we all are to a certain degree. When the blood pressure is too high, it messes up a lot of other things inside you.
And now I'm playing catch up, right? Like, I do wish I would have taken it more seriously 10 years ago. You know, but now I'm playing not just catch up, but I'm
stopping it.
Yeah, I've got to stop it, and now I got to reel it back somehow.
Trying to reverse it,
and reverse the kidney issues, reverse the, the enlarged heart and the whatever else has gone wrong. Who knows? You know, but
and I've been told that like an enlarged heart, you're never going to shrink it.
No.
In kidneys, there's certain levels to where if it's past this point, you just ain't getting it back.
Yeah.
And so, man, it's the easiest fucking thing. You spend more money on an out-to-eat meal than you will on a blood pressure cuff.
Absolutely.
You know, come on, guys.
Absolutely.
And no one stressed this when we were younger.
No.
But we did know about it before we did it. And that might have helped a little bit. I don't think you can ever be too early to the game, you know.
Do you feel a difference in your workouts now that your blood pressure is kind of more in check? Do you feel the pumps better
now?
Okay.
But when I first got on the blood pressure medications, well, when you live at 205,
you're just used to it now,
right? But when you live at 185 and it drops to 140, and one time it dropped to 120, and I passed out.
Yeah.
I fell on the ground, and if Melissa wasn't
in
there,
your kitchen,
if I'd have hit the table, I'd have been dead. I mean, I was this close to knocking my head, and I just was like, just fell back completely, like just out of it. And we took the blood pressure right after that, and I was like 117. Well, it was only like 4 weeks after I started taking blood pressure meds, and I lived for years at the 185. So that's massive, right? That's a massive adjust. Well, now that it's down and it's been down, well, now you're used to it, right? Yeah. There's some side effects to blood pressure meds I don't like. Getting up too fast out of a chair, you go, whew.
So I haven't had that issue yet.
Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's the combo that I'm on.
It could be that I haven't had my blood pressure down that low.
Yeah, and that people get that anyway.
Yeah.
Without blood pressure med, I forget what the medical term is when you stand up too fast and blood pressure the blood flow changes, right, and the volume changes. But I felt a little bit that, but you just learn that before you get up. Breathe through your nose a couple times, because a lot of it's just the lack of oxygen. Right. And I tend to sit here when I'm doing work or anything, and I shallow breathe very little, and then I start falling asleep. Well, I'm not. I got a small nose, and a big body, and if I'm breathing through my nose, I have to take a concentrated deep breath, and when I'm just sitting there like. I just end up falling asleep, and then when I stand up, I'm like, okay, I'm ready, and I was like, holy shit, the blood, So a lot of that was probably to do with it.
Yeah.
My breathing, have been a mouth breather, probably because of the size of this guy and how big I've needed to be, and deviated septums, all the bullshit we do, whatever, right? So that CPAP is totally awesome. But what is the next step for you? Okay, so now. You're walking down the blood pressure med aisle, you're trying to figure that out and bring your blood pressure down. That's number one key, right?
Yep.
The key number one thing. Are you doing anything with changing diet or adding cardio or dropping weight or what are you changing?
So started, I'm working on getting more consistent with my morning cardio. We have more than enough cardio equipment inside our house that I have no excuse not to do it, when I wake up, except for I don't want to wake up and I just rather sleep. So I just need to push myself into getting into that. So that's going to help. I have changed my diet, unfortunately. So I dropped one steak meal, and now that got replaced with a chicken meal. And then we'll run that for a little bit, see how that affects, one, the cholesterol, the blood pressure, Just all the issues,
Kidney
right?
functions,
The kidney function.
Yeah.
Because I had a lot of protein in the urine, I guess, which is indicative of that,
Which is indicative of a kidney being clogged.
Right.
Right, yeah.
So, working on that. And then with the Thyroid Med, we're trying to find out where that's going to put me at. So my thyroid was at 13.5 or something like that, 13.4.
And what's a normal range?
4.
4 is the high end.
0 to 4.
0 to 4.
And
so it's overactive?
No, it was hypo.
Hypo. Okay.
So I had a hypo, and that's where I was when I got the blood test this time. I'm at 3.8. Okay. So it dropped me down pretty good. So,
still at the high end, but
yeah. So I'm hoping that we can adjust that.
3 times better than it was.
Right.
Or 4
so
times.
Yeah. The downfall to that one. And, I do think that thyroid issues are more prevalent than we give credit to.
I know quite a few people on stuff.
Yeah.
And these are just
normal
not people. Lifters.
Yeah.
Just normal, come in the gym, do their workout, and get out.
Yeah, I think that...
males and females.
I think a lot of people need to get their thyroid checked because it does change so many functions in the body. But...
Because it does have control over metabolism, weight loss, and weight gain. Mm-hmm. I mean... cognitive function, all of this.
Yeah, and then also like absorption and all these other weird things that like I had no idea. So we're trying to get that into check, which will help me with the weight loss. So right now, like I said, 300 to 305. I think I weighed in at the last comp at 298 or whatever it was. So it just depends on how much water I've had and what meal I've had already. First thing in the morning, I'm usually always about 298.
Okay.
Right.
That's pretty much your base weight then.
Yeah. I would like to maybe come back down to that 275 mark. And
keeping as much of the muscle, but just dropping that excess weight.
Yeah. And
because weight's weight. On the heart, weight's weight.
Absolutely.
How you train has a play in it.
Yeah.
But just bringing body weight down, you don't have to lose your muscle.
No.
I mean... If you were 3% body fat, well, you're losing muscle.
Yeah.
you're a little bit over 3% right now.
Probably like 4.5, you think?
Probably in that little figure right there.
So that's the cool part about it, right? Like we're talking about the blood pressure issues and the weight issues and all this. They do go hand in hand, right? Because my training style has to change. If I'm wanting to drop that weight,
so right now you train very 1 to 5 rep heavier.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and then what are you changing it to?
So I'm still chasing these big numbers for strongman. So
still get those main movements in.
Main movements, get into like the 3 to 4 to 5 sets of 1 to 5 still. Okay. After that, all my accessory work is very quick. Supersets, giant sets, low rest time.
60 to 90 seconds between sets max.
Yeah, and still, and I'm trying to get that mental barrier there, where the weight is at that failure at that 12.
Yes.
If I'm going for 10 to 12 reps, 9 should be a failure, and we're pushing right.
I think this is where most will go on. Yeah.
So that just. Taking my workout from 3.5 hours and doing that workout that's how long it used to take me, right?
Right.
And trying to get it done closer to an hour and a half, 2 hours, because still those big lifts are going to take time, right?
I don't think the average folk understands it. Now, if you're a bodybuilder, you don't absolutely need to have that style of heavy
2 to 3 minutes
there
in between
are
your
lifters,
big movements.
There are lifters that lift those heavy big movements, and that one movement might take a half an hour,
right?
Because there's so many steps. There might be a ton of reps. There might be timed for what it might be a little conjugate, might be whatever it is. Melissa still trains like that, and I still do too. But I still want to have a time limit that I'm maxed out in the gym,
right?
Because that means I'm not dicking around or whatever, right? Get in, you do your warm up, and then get to your work. That's key too, because now you're doing the same amount that you've always done, but you've compressed it into less time.
Yeah.
That's progressive overloading just in itself.
Exactly, right? And so the body's going to have to adapt.
It will change.
Cardio's boosting, right? yesterday, you know.
You're doing cardio how many days a week then?
Yeah.
So nothing yet. You're going to try to get to...
So ideally right now I would be 3 to 4 times a week fasted cardio in the morning, 20 minutes or so. And that's what I'm pushing for. I'm not there yet. I'm maybe
HIIT style or just steady state?
Right now, steady state. There's no, I don't have an excuse for not just going straight into HIIT, except for I know myself and I'll get burnt out quick.
Well, not just that. Your blood pressure isn't under control yet.
Right.
And that type of cardio is damaging to a heart that still has high blood pressure.
Yeah.
So you got a legit excuse if you really want it.
Yeah. See, there you go. That's what I'll tell her.
I mean, half an hour of just steady state would be better for a guy in your position.
And I change, right? So I'll go like a higher incline. And, you know, if I'm on the treadmill, I'm 2.5, you know, but maybe an incline of 4 or 5. And then I'll bump it up to 3 and then bring it down a little bit, you know, and then I'm at 3.5. I think on Monday when I did it, I topped out at like 3.5 on my treadmill, and I was at like an incline of 2. So it's not just 2 and going with it.
Right.
You know, it's variable, you know.
And as you get more consistent, when that becomes super mundane, because it will get easier, then you make the next step. Okay, this week we're doing a half a point or a point more.
Right.
Half an incline or an incline more. And all of a sudden, 2 or 3 months in, you're doing a legit cardio session, you know, and you got to start that way, otherwise you'll kill yourself.
Absolutely. And I get not discouraged, but just bored with it.
You know how I fixed that, and I already told you. Like, I'm doing stuff around the house right now. Now, it's not the same if you're out there picking weeds, looking at the flowers. Like, I'm moving truckloads of gravel around my house, removing truckloads of gravel, and I'm doing it by wheelbarrow and shovel.
Yeah.
So I'm in there, and I'm timing myself. I'm making sure my heart rate gets up. I'm doing it like a cardio session, and I might add an additional 20 minutes for the fuckery that might happen. Or when you're raking a little area, you know, in between your HIIT style.
Slowing down for the lemonade.
Don't have lemonade right now.
Crystal Light lemonade.
Yeah, there you
0
go.
calories.
And what that does for me is more than just the cardio. It's a mental. It's a. I feel better about myself. I got some shit done. Plus, I got that shit done.
Right.
You know,
because sometimes I'm on the cardio equipment, and I'm like, I should be doing something else. Like I really got to get that done. So if you're not thinking about that the whole time you're on the cardio, and you're like, I really need to get this yard, you know, spread out with this gravel. Well, you're doing both.
And there will come a time where I might have to step onto that stair mill only.
Oh, sure.
But I don't need to right now because I know my heart. I know myself. I know what I'm doing. I'm not cheating myself by going out and doing something else.
Right.
Now, sometimes I like to break it up and just go on a morning walk with the pups. Man, you're seeing stuff. You're hearing stuff. You're saying hi to people. You're still getting it. You're training the dogs at the same time. You know, you're accomplishing many things again. And for me, that's so much more satisfying.
Yeah.
And I'm still working toward my goal.
Yep.
So that's how I've done what I've done, those couple things to make it fun. Now, we have a stair mill, a treadmill, elliptical, a bike. What else do we got in there?
We got a rower in there now?
No, we don't have a rower.
No rower.
We have that inversion table. That's okay. We've used that about once. I don't know why we even have it. Probably should use it more.
I'm probably going to come over and use it.
Yeah, go for it. I'll bring it to your house. So those machines are cool.
Yeah.
And maybe if it's 110 or you wake up late, whatever. You know, there's times for it. I just like doing other things. If I have to listen to a series on something that I'm studying or whatever, not as much going to be shoveling gravel. You know, I'm going to be thinking, you know, something I can look at while I'm and I'm getting it right. But I got to make things fun. You know, you say you get bored. I get fucking bored at it. But the end goal too, though, with everything set aside, it's a health deal. This is life or death, essentially. So it's got to happen.